Good evening, I'm Jennifer Harris.
And I'm Keenan Wellar.
And you are watching the LiveWorkPlay News.
Due to the popularity of the LiveWorkPlay News, we wanted to continue our TLN broadcast as part of Make A Buzz 2021. So we've adapted it to be a fit with our annual anniversary celebration. How do we do that? Easy. We're going to celebrate the top 12 news items of the year. But don't worry, we aren't going to leave out news from the spring. Some of the top 12 come from stories in March and April.
That's right, Keenan, but before we get rolling with our top 12, a few honorable mentions and also a note about the top story of the year. I'll start with that. The top story of the year by far was everything published by Make A Buzz Ottawa 2020. We are using Facebook to determine the rankings of our list, and our 25th anniversary party had more than 30,000 views, so we wanted to acknowledge that. Also, we had a couple of stories with a handful of views for making the list. So we are giving an honorable mention to the 1,300 views for the Annalisa Kiski's video celebrating World Down Syndrome Day on March 21st, and the story about Cooper Gage volunteering with the Ottawa 67s as part of our national volunteer work coverage on April 20th.
Thanks for that, Jennifer. And to be clear, there are literally dozens of stories that could have made our honorable mentions list. But it is the nature of any countdown that we have to cut off the list somewhere. So without further ado, let's get started.
Coming in at number 12 with more than 2,100 views was an update about LiveWorkPlay member Matt Suddy, who was celebrating his first year anniversary in his own apartment and his new job at McDonald's, your independent grocer. People love this March 22nd update, and why not? Two great stories in one. Well done, Matt Suddy.
That was a great story. And coming in at number 11, we weren't even sure where to put this on the list because more than 20 of our members participated in our employment profile campaigns. And every time we got between 1,000 and 2,000 views. But the August 27th profile featuring Keenan, perhaps on the strength of that amazing smile, surpassed 2,000 views all on its own. Thank you also to Aiden, Alex, Alexis, Andrew, another Andrew, Ashley, Derek, Jonathan, Josh, Kaylin, Megan, Michael, Nadine, Shohan, Stephanie, Elena, Lorenzo, Ali, Ann, Hassan, Ryan, and Sebastian. And sorry if I forgot anyone. Blame me, not the employment team. They did an amazing job supporting these fine candidates.
Well, Keenan, employment is going to be a big part of the countdown, and why not? It's a big deal. Coming in at number 10, I'll share the Ottawa Business Journal story of our amazing partner, Fiber Clean, local manufacturers of personal protective equipment, who made the news on March 16th with the hiring of Stefan and Andrew. This was another tricky one to rank because we shared it in different ways, but the individual posts had more than 2,500 views. Amazing.
I love that story, but it wasn't a big surprise that it made the list. Coming in at number 9 is a bit of a surprise. October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, known as NDEAM, and we put a lot of effort into posting about it at the beginning of the month, but we actually got the most attention right at the end, when on October 29th, we shared a blog post about a federal employment strategy group meeting hosted by LiveWorkPlay and an event on human rights hosted by Canadian Heritage, where we participated as part of a panel. More than 3,000 views came in for this one post alone, making this our most successful contribution to ND in history.
You'll never know what will be the right post at the right time, Keenan. And coming in at number 8, I bet you didn't think this would make the list. An end of the year post of December 31st, away play you and Julie doing the singing, and me and Dave Khalil playing the piano back on May 6, 2020. It was a pretty real New Year's Eve. Well-placed rerun, Keenan. More than 3,000 views.
Yes, that was a big surprise. Totally unexpected. Next on the list at number 7, I figured the story would get a lot of attention, but maybe not quite this much. Coming in with more than 3,400 views, the announcement that member Marie Stanfield's position at Canada Revenue Agency was going permanent full-time was clearly just the type of good news people were craving. That post just exploded all over the internet.
We are at the halfway point of the list now, Keenan, and we are getting into some of the stories we expected to be big, like number 6 on our list, the announcement at the family gathering in March that LiveWorkPlay was the recipient of the Employment Ontario Ottawa Network Investing in Your Workplace Award. That breaking news brought in more than 3,500 views from the original sale and 1,000 more from the future coverage of the award.
Sometimes attention for our news is driven by outside interests, and less so by our own membership. A great example of that is number 5 on the countdown, our World Autism Awareness Day statement read by David Young at the March Family Gathering and shared on the official April 2nd commemoration. It got more than 4,000 views, and a lot of them came from autism organizations that liked the post and shared it with their own memberships.
That's a really interesting result, and we'll see how it impacted on number 2 on our list. But continuing with the list, coming in at number 4, the surprise awarding of the United Way Ottawa Community Builder Award to volunteer Mary Bustella at the Festive Family Feast in December was very popular and shared in multiple ways, but the original post received more than 5,000 views. And why not? We all know Mary is amazing, and now a lot more people know about it too.
Hey!
Right you are, Jen. We are really getting down to it now. And coming in at the bronze medal position, Mary had a hand in this one too. It was the release of the LiveWorkPlay case study on inclusive employment in the federal government. This was less than a month ago on April 13th, but it already has more than 9,000 views.
Wow.
This story actually got shared around the world with organizations like Inclusion International and Inclusion Europe helping to spread the news.
Like you say, Keenan, interest from people outside the LiveWorkPlay community has really helped drive the numbers of some of these top 12s, and that is definitely what happened with our silver medal entry. This was actually a blog you wrote on behalf of LiveWorkPlay responding to the tragedy of the murder of George Floyd and expressing solidarity with the pursuit of racial equality. I know you didn't expect this to be a popular post, and you wanted to make sure that LiveWorkPlay wasn't silent on this important human rights issue, but over 13,000 views, this story really struck a chord, especially with organizations representing people of color. So well done, and what a great example of why it is important to see disability rights of the bigger picture of human rights for all.
Well said, Jen. And that leaves us with number 1 on our top 12 list. And I can say without hesitation, no one in our organization thought this would be on the top 12 list at all, let alone coming in for the gold medal. But there we were, early in the month of June 2020, wondering how we were going to continue supporting people with employment, whether because they lost a job or were still waiting to find their first job. We couldn't host employment task force meetings. There were no Chamber of Commerce breakfasts, no Rotary lunches. How were we going to meet employers and find out about jobs? So without having any idea it would get such a big reaction, we put out a Help Wanted post with a twist. We asked the community to help us find the Help Wanted opportunities in their own neighborhoods. And boy, did they ever respond. We received more than 18,000 views and dozens of amazing employment leads.
What an incredible top 12, and thanks to everyone who made it possible. I'm Jennifer Harris.
And I'm Keenan Wellar.
And thanks for watching the LiveWorkPlay News.